Until recently, I had no previous experience with the palliative care organization, but in light of recent events, I can only say that I'm pretty much a walking advertisement sandwich board for what these guys can actually do and accomplish for real people. We had a situation where we were confronted with a fatal illness, if you will. And the options for us were really quite daunting. And it's not something you prepare yourself for on a day-to-day basis, but confronted with the opportunity to either leave a loved one in a hospital administrative situation or putting them in an institutionalized environment or keeping them at home around surroundings that they knew and respected was an option that was presented to us by the palliative care team. And I can honestly say it was a godsend because these folks covered some significant ground, and not just on a patient basis. They were more directed to the person rather than the patient view of things. We had the chance to express a need to want to have our loved one at home in familiar surroundings, and they pulled out all stops to make that happen. They were there 24/7, giving us great advice about where to get external services, and it gave the family and the loved ones, not only our beloved brother, the opportunity to be in an environment they were comfortable in for their last remaining days. And I can't thank them enough for having done that. They made a beautiful marriage, an engagement, matchmakers really between us as a family unit, people in a situation that was pretty much emotionally catastrophic, and allowed us to keep our loved one at home. The support services extended to things that we never needed, but were pleased to hear that they were available and that palliative care would make them happen, in fact. Things like just having help with giving a loved one a shower and having shave facilities, or come in for housekeeping if that was required, or make a run to the pharmacy and the drugstore if possible, or organizing a prescription so that we didn't have to take somebody who was basically non-ambulatory to a doctor's office. I just can't recount the number of times that we were able to pick up the telephone on a 24-hour basis, 7 days a week. And they connected all the dots for us in a very humane way. So it was not a hospital, it was not a hospice, it was the home front where loving family, friends, peers, and compatriots could come and visit. And it was just a very settling environment that we were able to function in. And palliative care really was the spoke of the wheel. They are the ones who made it all possible. There wasn't anything we didn't ask that they couldn't help with. And like I said earlier, I'm just a walking advertisement for just how wonderful that service is. It provides a completely different environment. You're seen no longer as a patient, but as a person, and I think the humanity in it is absolutely remarkable. The concept, as I said, I never knew about it before lightning struck our family, just how powerful this liaison and this network of caring people, palliative care, real people helping out in times when we emotionally, as a family, couldn't determine which end was up. And the patient was repeatedly, my brother was repeatedly reminding us of what great folks came to the table in aid of his wish to spend his last remaining time in his home, in his own backyard among people he loved and in an environment where he could feed the cat. The week, the loss of a loved one or the impending loss of a loved one is just far too much for anybody to handle independently. And I have to say, the palliative care folks did so very much to cut through the clutter, to bring some humanity to the situation and give us a way out of this maze, an emotional and physically depressing situation. They pointed us in the right direction. They led us to people who could provide services and outsourcing of things that we would normally just expect to have happen in an institutionalized environment. And at the same time, they allowed us the humanity to have a loved one in their own home setting. Everything provided in terms of connecting us up with the right people for a hospital quality bed, for oxygen if we needed it at the bedside, for visiting whatever on a daily basis, who helped us as a family administer the medications that were required to maintain sort of the status quo. And these things were all just beyond my imagination for placing a value. There's no instrument that could value what the palliative care team did to connect the dots for us on a human basis. I'm absolutely certain I don't stand alone on this. Once you need this service, once you understand and have palliative care reach out to you, as we did, I'm sure you'd feel exactly the same way.